there was some progress being made there on the reconciliation instructions by various committees. Where does that stand, just in general?
Okay, well, the big action right now is around reconciliation, and we were supposed to see a lot of committee action around that. And this is Ways and Means potentially putting the details on the table around the tax cuts.
And that's big. It's like $4.5 trillion that they've set aside for tax cuts.
Right, right, yes. It's huge. And we have been running around here at Concord with our hair on fire about this because the total bill, once you increase spending and add these tax cuts, is $5.8 trillion. That's the price tag on
That's
this.
the
And
deficit. I mean, that would increase the
that's
deficit.
increase the deficit. That is the largest one-time increase in certainly in modern American history in any time anybody can remember. I mean, it is huge. It is ginormous. It is more additions to the debt than Biden did in his entire 4 years. So it's a big deal. What's going on
Yeah.
now? They do have some offsets, right? Or they have been bandying about some ideas about offsets. Only a small fraction, though, of the total debt. So about 2 trillion in offsets. And of that, about 880 billion is expected to come from Medicaid. And this is one of several places where they are really getting tangled up because of a lot of state level resistance to cuts to Medicaid, a lot of public resistance to cuts to Medicaid that they have on the table. Another big area where things are getting tangled up is around the state and local tax deduction, which we often will refer to as SALT. So there are two areas of big thorny knots they're trying to untangle.
Yeah, and I think the speaker indicated this week that some of the big potential cuts to Medicaid would be off the table. It makes it more difficult to find whatever they're supposed to come up with offsets to offset the tax cuts that they want to do so that they don't add so much to the deficit.
Right. So what the deficit hawks, some of the very conservative Republicans have been putting out there, and again, we appreciate that they're trying to pay for things, but recognize we need to do this in a way that is careful and thoughtful and wise. They put out there two places to cut. One was Medicaid, and one is over in agriculture. Another couple $100 billion in cuts to food stamps. So now it gets very complicated very fast. But the big cuts to Medicaid are ones where you cap the federal contribution to the states. So Medicaid is health insurance, really for poor people. But also a big chunk of that goes to age, blind, and disabled low-income folks. So a huge chunk of that goes to paying for nursing homes, for instance, people who've run through all their assets. You have a grandmother with Alzheimer's or something like that, and you run out of money to take care of her. You're able to declare her medically indigent, get her on Medicaid. And that's a huge way that we finance that kind of long-term care for people through Medicaid. So just be aware, sort of what Medicaid is. Of course, the Affordable Care Act expanded Medicaid up to 135% of poverty. This is not high wealth folks, but it is people over the poverty level.
Well, I mean, do they have to stick to Medicaid? Are there other ways they could cut spending?
Absolutely. So organizations like Peterson, Arnold Ventures, Committee for a Responsible Budget, the Bipartisan Policy Center have put out huge lists of alternatives and different ways that you can balance this proposal. And they can also scale it back a bit and focus more on middle class families. So there are many, many options for getting this paid for. It is not just Medicaid.
So long as they can find some way to pay for what they want to do,
That's right.
that's what we're hoping for.